signs. So, despite the fact that, like we're saying, people will try and hide it, they do sometimes say certain things, do certain things that, can give us that warning. For example, they could make threats to hurt themselves. They could say things like, it's not worth living anymore, or I don't want to be here anymore. They could also be things like previous suicide attempts. So if they've tried it before, chances are they might try it again. They could start searching for means of suicide, for example, buying sleeping tablets, getting a weapon, or buying rope, so those would be like their means of suicide. They could start giving away prized possessions, or writing letters to people, or calling friends and family members to tell them goodbye. There could be a preoccupation with death and dying. And then you also have to look at their background and see maybe they've suffered their own losses. Maybe they've had a breakup, or, had a family member pass away. Then that could also trigger that depression and those feelings of suicide. They could be
obviously, because
mood.
they're grieving and then there's no closure. And as we know, with the new type of COVID-19, you don't really get that closure that you're looking for, which you would on a normal scenario. And I think that makes it a whole lot more difficult to be able to deal with.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think COVID brings a whole different dynamic to what people are experiencing, and like you say, how they're coping with grief and with death as well. So, yeah, it definitely puts people at a much higher risk of committing suicide. So those are the main ones, in terms of suicide warnings. And then if you do suspect that somebody is at risk for committing suicide, the main thing would be to just ask them directly, are you thinking about committing suicide? And, you might think that, sometimes people say that actually asking them about suicide is going to put the idea of suicide into their head, but this is not actually true. And evidence shows that, that actually asking somebody if they are suicidal it's a protective measure for them. So they feel listened to, they feel like somebody cares about them, they feel like, they can finally share and express their feelings. So you need to be direct with them.
Right.
Then you need to obviously be willing to listen, and you need to accept all of their feelings and not be judgmental, so don't try and debate with them whether or not suicide is right or wrong, or whether their feelings are good or bad. Just practice, complete acceptance of them.
Right. So, let's turn the table around. Let's turn it around. What if there's somebody in their lives that is actually, should we say, mentally torturing them and putting them in such a miserable situation, that is leading them to think about that? How would you deal with? Do you deal with the perpetrator, or do you deal with the victim? Which one is it?
Well, I think if you're a friend or family member, there's not much you can do in terms of dealing with the perpetrator. So you would deal with the victim, So you would use the same skills, reach out to them, let them know that you're there to support them, to listen to them, to empathize with them.
Would you be the one to initiate them, maybe getting further help, like people from yourselves, to say, go out there and learn to stand up for yourself? Because inevitably what happens in society, and I found this on a general basis, and I think it's something that I'd like to bring up on a general consensus, is when people are those quiet types of people, and they haven't been saying much, suddenly you start experiencing, like, if they start standing up for themselves, they start getting looked at in a bad light, because, oh yeah, she was very quiet, and now she's this and now she's that, and I think this is where we have to change the mindset and the norm of society to be able to think about the types of reactions and behaviors that they give to people, to actually not basically build them up but break them down. And this is what is happening nowadays, especially through COVID-19. So much light has been shed through different life coaches on our show to show that people are actually breaking each other down instead of building each other up. And this is what is leading to many. It was phenomenal to hear from my life coaches that through the show we had saved a couple of people from actually committing suicide. And for me, I could at least breathe about that fact, knowing that we, through the show and the platform, reached out to people to be able to define the type of situation they're in. But many a times, we should say the closest ones are the ones that hurt the most. So, if are you on the line? As we were talking, and this is what I'm saying, is having to deal with the type of situation and the depression that comes with it. And I think what it does inevitably is it should we say strips the value that is attached to the person, and that's what kills them inside. It makes them take away the value from themselves, and that's where many problems stem. But we're going to talk about that soon. We're just going to go for a quick ad break. We'll be back with you in a sec.
DoosieMed Medicine Depot Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot. Conveniently situated in the DoosieMed Medical Center, corner Burger and Boshoff Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities. Open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DoosieMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DoosieMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice.
Durban, KwaZulu-Natal has been the hardest hit by the recent civil unrest. Hundreds of supermarkets, factories and warehouses have been looted and destroyed. Thousands have lost their jobs and are in need of food and household supplies. Penny Appeal South Africa is currently on the ground working with communities to provide essential items to those severely affected. Donate toward the Penny Appeal Hardship Fund today and assist us in caring for families for a 3-month period with essentials and assistance to small businesses affected by the devastating effects of the unrest. Help us help our city. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 11 00 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love. Trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds, from creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies, from exotic odors to traditional dishes. Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal, there is no substitute for quality.
Africa. For your convenience, the Africa Muslims Agency's Durban office has moved to 797 Jan Smuts Highway, Sherwood, Durban. Our friendly staff are eagerly awaiting to receive, advise and share with you the current ongoing campaigns and projects that you have been supporting for the last 35 years. Visit us at 797 Jan Smuts Highway, Sherwood, or call 031 207 5676. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
Welcome back. We're on the line with Suhaifa Mohamed from the Islamic Care Line, and we're talking about a very pertinent topic, which is suicidal thoughts and depression. Thank you for joining me back again. And before we left, I was talking about the perpetrators and how to deal with them, and you said to me the best way to deal with it is, of course, by getting the victim help and not the perpetrator as such, because as we know, to get the perpetrator help is going to be very difficult because they're not the types of people that are going to want to accept their wrongs in a very big hurry.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah, and then I think the worst thing is when they start standing up for themselves, they looked at in a different light. And now this is what I thought is that we need to start creating awareness programs and changing mindset and norm. And I talk about this every week on the show. Reason being is because the norm of our society needs to change, because from generation to generation, it's been brought upon as though, that's acceptable. That's the way life needs to be. You just have to deal with it, get over it. It's something that's happened to us before as well. How do we do that? I mean, I think it's so important for us to actually tap into that and change the norm of thinking of our young generation so that we don't carry on with this and it doesn't become a vicious circle from one generation to the other.
Okay, so just to clarify, are you talking about how to change the norms around the perpetrator?
I think it's changing.
Victimization.
Yeah, I think it's changing the norm of the way people think, because I think a perpetrator's mindset is that I can do this. It's fine. It's okay for me to call call out a person or make them feel as though their value has been stripped and they have absolutely no value and they're worth nothing. And I think that's where the problem actually stems if you really look at it.
Yeah. I think that's a very complex topic, because a lot of time, if you look at perpetrators, very often they're very charming, likable people. Very often they're good looking, they might be popular, but the abuse usually goes on behind closed doors, or it would just be with a specific target, so that often makes it very difficult when somebody speaks out about this person. They don't often get that support because there's sort of like an incongruency between how this person is being perceived by the public versus, what they're actually doing, to their victims. So I think we need to raise a lot of awareness around the fact that somebody might appear really nice, really charming, really popular, but if somebody speaks out about them, we need to start believing these victims. We need to start taking action and realizing that, if somebody's willing to actually speak out and say that, they're being harmed by somebody, very often they're not just going to make up lies about this person. And very often if we don't believe that person, it actually sometimes causes, secondary traumatization, and they tend to feel very isolated and lose trust in people.
How do you stand up against a person like this? Because they're the types of narcissists that would not accept their wrongs and would want to actually blame you and say, it is you that's edging this on.
Right, yeah. You see, it's actually extremely difficult because, like I said, they're usually people who are unable to take responsibility for their actions. And very often when somebody stands up to them, they will turn it around, and it's something where they then make the victim feel like the abuser. So they will make you feel like you're the wrong person for standing up to me. So they can be very manipulative in that sense, and it's actually extremely difficult to stand up to them. So, yeah, the best thing that they can do is actually seek professional help and support from somebody, from a therapist, from a counselor, in order to, maybe also learn that assertiveness and learn the skills that will help them to cope or
I agree
even
with you.
get out of that situation.
I think the professional way is the better way, because you get directed the proper way to deal with yourself, but without getting that hostility in it.
Right.
Yeah. What would you think our viewers need to know that is the most important thing?
In terms of
the depression, the suicidalness, how do they help themselves if they feel they don't want to reach out to somebody else? What is it that you would like to leave them with that you think is most pertinent and important, apart from actually picking up that phone and asking for that professional advice? Where do they start? Do they change their mindset by talking to themselves? How do they go about with that very first step?
The thing is, if it's caused by depression, then it's actually extremely difficult to just, decide that you're going to change your mindset. And often the reason why people commit suicide is because they feel hopeless and helpless. So they feel trapped in a situation. They feel like there's no way out of this, that, things are always going to be this way. And that's why they choose suicide, because very often it's not because they want to actually die, it's because they want to escape from their life. So I think my main message would be for them to realize that, things do get better, things do change, and it's not always going to be as bad as it is right now, as much as it might feel that way in that moment.
All right, I agree with you. And what message would you like to leave us with this morning?
I think the main message would be to, just always be on the lookout, and like I said, realize that people sometimes often hide their depression, and we need to practice kindness, and we need to approach things directly with somebody if we do suspect that, they are depressed or suicidal, and just offer them that support and that empathy and that listening ear, because just that alone can make such a world of a difference to somebody who's feeling so isolated and alone in what they're going through.
True, very true.
So, yeah.
And I think we should end off by saying that they're not alone. There is that help that are out there. There are those support structures, and they do have that value, which I spoke about earlier. And they should not allow anybody to strip that value from them. So they need to start standing strong in some way to say, I have some form of value, and I'm going to change my life for the better by getting the necessary help, and define and get to the root of the issue of my problem, and try to get help to be able to get through it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Jazakallah so much for joining us with such a pertinent topic this morning. Suhaifa, you take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Suhaifa Mohamed giving us some insight into how to determine and look at people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts and depression, which is, I think, taking over. Mental illness is taking over in many directions, especially now during the COVID-19 period. So it's about helping you out and helping you define that need and see that how you can help yourself move into a better space. And that's what it's about. Stick with us. We're going to be back with you in a sec.